and welcome back to In the Court of the Wenton King. This is what we're doing.
We're doing the Yes album by Yes.
The Yes album by Yes, not their first album. We're not doing the whole lot because they've done, I think, 20 studio albums, even if we didn't review the live albums. So for that reason, we're going to be doing the main sequence from the Yes album to going for the one. That one. Yeah, recorded in 1970, released in 71. It is their third album. It was the make or break album. In those days, you could have 3 albums before you were thrown off the record label. Never happened now. There wouldn't be no Yes now. Now the problem is, and it's obvious in retrospect, but the problem with the band, the problem with those first 2 albums is you've got the very loud bass player, very loud guitarist, you know, sort of proper rhythmy kind of player. And on top of that, you've got these sort of soft hippie vocals, and you've got jazz drums. This is the next piece of the puzzle, is adding Steve Howe on guitar rather than Peter Banks. And Steve Howe is very important in that he actually doesn't sound like Metallica. I like Metallica. Metallica are good. You don't have to sound like Metallica. He has a clean guitar sound. He's very folky, friendly guitar with not much distortion, very clean sound. Rick Wakeman is yet to join. And Tony Kaye is a very different player to Rick Wakeman. He doesn't really do the Mellotron keyboards, wall of sound kind of thing. He likes his Hammond and he's a purist and all that. So the sound of the Yes album, but also the production is kind of tinny and wimpy and rubbish. So consequently that contributes to that sound as well, in a bad way.
I'll probably need to throw in a couple of disclaimers here.
Okay, go.
I don't know Yes at all.
Good.
You're a fan.
I know them too much.
Yeah. Are you a big fan, Kev?
Yes. Well, I mean, we've done Led Zeppelin. I discovered Led Zeppelin when I was like 13.
Yeah.
Yes, I discovered it in my very early 20s.
Right, okay. They are very... I don't know the first 2 albums, but we are very much in prog territory now.
Yes.
Yeah. Coming to this, my preconceptions of Yes were they write pretty meaningless, happy songs with Rick Wakeman on the keyboard, doing lots of that stuff really fast. And because they're prog, it feels a little bit more about the ninjas than strictly about the music.
No, it doesn't. It is a seminal work by Yes. It is the start of the big albums. It's a very famous album. The first 5 songs on there are concert staples that they played in most of their concerts. The very first song
Is
No Disgrace. Now, I like this because it's a great way of introducing Yes. It's a big structured piece, but it's not really an epic. You know, it's a showcase for things in the band. So it is a showcase for Bill Bruford. It's a great introduction to Bill Bruford. He has the sensibility of a jazz drummer. He's not playing jazz, he's playing rock. And this is the point when the jazz was disappearing from Yes as well. But it's a great example of that. Great example of Steve Howe, both in terms of the more folky playing and also the nice sustainy bits and some tasteful stuff in there as well. And it introduced the harmonies as well.
I think you've got to tune into it a little bit. And it takes a little bit of time to do that. But that is coming from me, who's not particularly tuned in. I mean, if you were used to listening to something like ELP,
That sounds lovely.
Yeah, you'd be like, woohoo! The notes, as they are presented, kind of work.
Yes.
I don't really know what the song's about. The title's kind of rubbish.
I don't think it's about anything.
No.
Most Yes stuff isn't about anything. There are things that are about stuff, but mostly it's just the phonetic sounds of the words.
That's where I struggle, I think. There are some cool parts in there.
Yeah.
About 6 minutes in, about 7 minutes in, I started thinking, okay. And I actually took notice of the time. That's quite cool. Yeah. I actually was reminded a little bit at one point of, you know, the pinball machine song on Sesame Street.
No.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Yeah.
I was reminded of that at one point, which I thought, that's cool.
Yeah. That is cool.
It's cool on Sesame Street.
Well, it's not cool. It's not cool. Cool is the wrong word, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not cool, but it's music.
Probably because, as you say, it's not really about anything. I'm kind of left at the end thinking, Button Moon. I
We've
don't know
been
why.
to Button Moon. Yeah, but Button Moon is sung by the Fifth Doctor, and therefore that's awesome as well.
That's a cool link, yeah. But we need cool music here. We need good music.
But yeah, what I didn't say was that the intro is inspired by Bonanza, the music from Bonanza, and that's the thing they did was, that they lots of TV and adverts and things like that, and they wouldn't rip it. If you listen to Bonanza, it doesn't sound the same, and they did that a lot, and I like that because there's nothing pompous or pretentious about doing that.
No, there's nothing.
That's just coming from a love of melody.
In my mind, a correlation to that would be references to, say, video games or books or other TV programs or other films in a film.
Yeah.
Yeah, you spot those and you think, oh, that's kind of cool. But you can't have a film that's just references to other films.
No, yeah.
It has to be about something.
Well, the lyric, yeah.
The film has to be about something. Yeah.
This isn't about anything.
No, and you can see where I'm gonna struggle on the. I mean, it's a perfectly.
It's about bang 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 bang. It's about and that stuff.
Yeah. Let's move on and see what.
Track two. Track two is
a song about venereal disease.
The clap. Yeah. Steve Howe gets distraught. I think the story goes that in the original pressings they changed it to the clap. He was not happy. He didn't think that was very funny. I think it's very funny. So the clap.
Yeah.
Solo acoustic, again showcasing Steve Howe. Then you can say, oh god, they're so indulgent having solo songs of individual band members, but he's a new band member, and they thought, oh, that's cool, make a song, and he did. It's great. It was a great bit of folk stuff. Little did he know he would be playing that for the next 40 years. The same solo.
I think it's a perfectly acceptable song.
Yeah, good enough.
Quite like it.
Yeah.
You can't say anything more than that.
No, because it's solo guitar.
Yeah.
In my time of dying.
Okay, I suppose the next track. Yeah.
Starship Trooper.
This is quite a seminal piece of work for them, isn't it?
Yeah, this is the most famous song on the album. If you could accuse yours Is No Disgrace being about the individuals a bit. Like there's a cool bit of drumming, there's a cool bit of guitar, but this is where the whole thing comes together into a sound of the band, particularly in the verses. It's big and it's epic and it's some fantastic picking. There's another folk section with some fast fingerstyle picking. There's stop-start drumming in the verses, and the keyboards on it, and everything comes together. And at the end, you've got the famous worm section of Starship Trooper. That's the bit I think everyone waits for.
But you're saying that the first section is probably the most recognisable.
Yeah. How successful they were in America, and it's such positive music. It's very European and not cool, and with this guy who sings like a woman. And I remember reading on the internet somewhere that the fans getting annoyed going to Yes concerts, and all they can hear before the concert is these sort of scary bikers sitting around going, "Sister Bluebird, flying high above." It's a weird thing, and they're massive in Philadelphia. They're huge in Philadelphia. That is the Yes town.
I get that feeling of sort of. You say it's very positive, yeah?
Mm.
And the sort of things that come to mind is sort of like wax crayons and pictures of the sun, that type of. that kind of happiness, which is.
A childlike.
Yeah, a child, very simplistic happiness. At some point, they've got to decide what the song's about, yeah? What is the song about?
It's about.
It's another one that's about nothing, like. And I get the feeling I hope I don't have this problem over now. I get the feeling I'm going to learn to sort of find something different from the music, but this goes to the core of what music is. I saw an interview with Hans Zimmer on Newsnight the other week, and he was explaining the difference between a musician and an actor. An actor puts on masks and portrays to the world as he thinks that mask is, whereas a musician reveals something about himself.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And I don't see what anybody's revealing about themselves here other than that they are skillful musicians. Mm. Yeah?
I mean, to a certain extent, you're agreeing with the critics.
I am agreeing with the critics.
All the sound and fury signifying nothing. Right, so we turn the record over. And we're on to...
I've Seen All Good People.
Yes. The complete track is called I've Seen All Good People. It's 2 pieces called Your Move and All Good People. They are 2 disparate pieces, so it's very strange, but there's a commercial side to this one. You've got a nice folky song with the obligatory mandolin, tiny bit of reference to Give Peace a Chance in there as well, and that kind of thing. It's a nice melody. And you've got the rocking out section in All Good People, which is the famous guitar solo and whatever. This is the most commercial thing on the album. It's the only song on the album which is, I think, best on the album, not live. Partially because Rick Wakeman played it very differently. He doesn't rock the Hammond. He plays the tune, so he goes and it sounds rubbish. So consequently, this is the best version, I think.
Okay. I mean, it's obvious at this point. Well, before this, but it's obvious that Steve Howe is pretty good guitarist with a pretty nice range of style.
Clean sound.
Yeah, very crisp, very clean. More nice vocals, like subdued Christmas carols. I mean, this is pretty as far from rock as you can get, really. I mean, Your Move, it's got a recorder in it.
Yeah, recorders and mandolins. It's purely a folk song.
Yeah.
The next song is Adventure. This is the filler song on the album. It's the only not famous song on the album, actually. It's very much a song. It's more in the style of the earlier 2 albums. Probably I hear John Anderson's songiness in it. It's a bit forgettable. The best bit, there's a nice little jam bit at the end, which is a bit indulgent, maybe, but it's a bit of piano. Nice bit of piano. And a nice bit of drumming, and that's it. And it ends. And it fills the album up.
I'm sort of, by this point, I actually came to my attitude sort of changed a little bit, and I realised, you know, if you're forced to listen to some music, this isn't actually that bad.
It could be, yes.
Yeah, you could be forced to listen to something really
foul,
really extreme, but if you're not into it. But I mean, anyone can listen to this.
Adventure, a venture. I went on a venture and had an adventure.
Which brings us on to the next track.
Yes. Perpetual Change. Now, this isn't as definitive as the first 5 songs on the album. It wasn't played live as much, but it's got some nice big chords at the start. So a nice big fanfare kind of thing at the start. Another great bit of Bill Bruford. The big fanfare chords are actually Richard Blackmore chords. And the best bits are towards the end, so you've got some other stuff happening. You've got a very, very proggy, it's not really a riff, motif. A controversial bit where the original riff comes back in over the top of this proggy motif. And it's one fades in and one fades out, and then it all comes in back at the end. The highlight there for me is there's a jazzy bit, a proper jazzy bit, possibly just to keep Bill Bruford happy, I don't know. But with Steve Howe doing his Wes Montgomery thing, so a musical verse with just guitar, which is great. But I think the complete piece is better than the song. I think the reason why it's not quite so famous is the song in itself there's a sort of call and response, and it's John Anderson singing to himself, and it's all right, but it's not amazing.
I pretty much agree.
So that was the Yes album. The House of Yes has fallen. That was the Yes album. There it is. I couldn't show you before. Hope you enjoyed that. Join us next week for Fragile. Yes. And a whole new sound.